Dr. Jeff talks love. Dr. Jeff talks life. Answers your questions, cuts through the strife. Sex and intimacy, real and true. Evidence-based, made just for you.
Hello, welcome to Dr. Jeff Talks About Sex and Intimacy, where we explore how to improve something very important in your life: intimacy, connection, and relationships. I'm Dr. Jeff Albaugh, and this podcast is about accurate, compassionate information about sex, intimacy, and relationships, so we can replace confusion and shame with knowledge and connection. Who doesn't need more of that? Today, you're joining us for episode 56, Mindful Love, How Presence Transforms Couple Relationships. Whether you're watching us live or listening on the recording later, every moment of your amazing life counts, and I count it as a true blessing and a gift to have you joining us to improve your life. I sincerely thank you for being here. You know that you are exactly why this podcast exists. We're connected across so many platforms: Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn. If you're on X and you have to submit a question, hop over to YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or StreamYard so you can interact with us directly. And if you're a follower on Facebook, follow us. The more people that follow us, the more we can do on Facebook. And we appreciate all of our followers, wherever you are. Visit the website to learn more about upcoming episodes. We have so many great episodes in there. You know, there are more than 50 wonderful episodes with expert guests that just provide the most awesome information. And I hope you'll go there and watch some of those amazing episodes. And you can pull up the calendar and see what's coming up all the way through May. We can go with you wherever you're going. If you're on the road, you can stream us. Whatever your streaming service is, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, whatever it is, we're going with you. Take us on the road. Dr. Jeff Talks About Sex and Intimacy. When you're working out, we'll work out with you. We're there with you on your favorite streaming service, so don't forget us. As always, I would like to remind you that all are welcome here. Everyone, whatever your sexual orientation, your gender identity, or your relationship style, I hope you know you are very, very welcome here in this space to learn. And we're so glad you're with us. And we're so glad that you are the amazing you that you are. The mission of the podcast is really, really simple. We're basically here to empower and enlighten you with evidence-based scientific information that improves your sexual health, that deepens your relationships so you can live this one miraculous life more fully and more lovingly. So, today, whatever it is for you right now, are you truly present in your life, in this moment? In whatever moment it is in your life? Do you ever feel like you're on autopilot? Researcher and author and psychology professor Dr. Ellen Langer believes we live every moment in life either mindfully, or mindlessly. We're either there or we're on autopilot. Often we're on autopilot. How can we be more present in our lives? Today's episode invites us to slow down and tune in. We can do everything mindfully. And when we say mindful, it's not this we're talking about. We're talking about being present in the now, being fully present. So if you're using all your senses to be fully present, if you're eating, to really taste and smell and sense and be fully present with that food. If you're with someone else, to be absolutely authentically there, wholly there. That's what we mean by being mindful. So we'll explore how mindfulness can help couples to step out of autopilot, to deepen emotional connection and respond to one another with greater intention and compassion. If you've ever felt disconnected despite loving your partner, this conversation offers practical insights and hope. Yunzhi Ariel Zheng is a couples therapist, a relationship researcher specializing in mindfulness and relational well being. Her work focuses on how present moment awareness, emotional attunement, and intentional communication can help couples navigate conflict, enhance intimacy, and cultivate more fulfilling partnerships. Drawing from both her clinical practice and her research, Ariel integrates mindfulness based approaches to support couples in building resilience, that bouncing back resilience, authenticity, and deeper connection in their relationships. I couldn't be happier to welcome Dr. Zhang. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Dr. Jeff. Yeah, it's really an honor for me to be here. I really appreciate the invitation to come join you, speak on this new and exciting topic. I am not a doctor yet. It's really
Oh,
nice
that's
to
true.
hear.
That's true. Hey, this. We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting it. We're for sure getting there. So yeah, my name is Ariel. I'm currently a doctoral candidate in marriage and family therapy at Florida State University. It I'm I'm just happy to be here to share my work, things I've learned about mindfulness through research and also my clinical work.
We're
So
so excited to have you. And so, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you and your presentation.
all right. All right, here we go. So, as Dr. Jeff introduces, the topic is mindful love, how really presence transform couple relationships. So, to start with, what exactly is mindfulness in relationships? So, we kind of talk a little bit about this idea of mindfulness isn't just about this meditation. Mindfulness is really a way of being rather than just a way of doing. So, trait mindfulness is typically like your tendency of being mindful in everyday life. It's defined as the ability to pay open-hearted, present moment, and non-judgmental attention to one's thoughts, feelings, and sensations. So to your whole body experiences and also the experience around you, to engage in that mindset that's present but also non-judgmental, like meaning I'm not evaluate my thoughts or feelings and like try to change them, like kind of like acknowledge things that are happening and letting them go. So this is defined as trait mindfulness. Um, what it's like to bring that trait mindfulness into your relationships. So some examples to start thinking about this idea. So think about when you and your partner have a conflict. So when conflict shows up in your relationship, mindfulness is less about doing something right, and more so about tuning in what's unfolding inside you in the very moment. So you might notice when you're arguing with your partner, you might notice your shoulder tense, there's tension in your body, and you may feel weight. You may also feel there's inside of you anger bubbling or an impulse to want to withdraw or strike back to your partner. So these are all the things that we can use mindfulness to notice. So instead of criticizing yourself that, oh, I'm feeling these things that's bad, I need to change it, like, or reacting based on what you're feeling, like, I'm just going to withdraw, I'm just going to strike back. Mindfulness is simply acknowledging something is happening in me right now. So, like, simply acknowledging and letting that go. Also, this is during conflict. After conflict, it matters not like probably as much as during conflict. It's feelings like hurt or resentment that you felt after the conflict. They don't always automatically disappear right away. Sometimes it can hold on to those things. And when we're not really paying attention to these lingering things, they can keep going on in the background and like start unconsciously influence how we connect with our partner. If I'm unconsciously holding on to this resentment from that conflict, even though we didn't name that, that can still show up in the way I'm interacting with my partner. So becoming aware of those emotions give us a chance to work with them rather than letting them shape the relationship from the sidelines. So these are during conflict, after conflict, what that would look like. Another example I wanted to start with is also, this applies to everyday stress too. Say you come home carrying tension from a difficult day at work. Without that mindful awareness, that stress, that work stress that carried with you might just come out as irritability or emotional distance when you're trying to interacting with your partner. And without a clear understanding of why, that would just like kind of, you would just come home and being less patient and probably more passive aggressive. So if we tune in and notice, okay, it seems like in my mind I'm replaying what's happening at work, that really creates a pause, a space for us to slow down and recognize the tension or the loop of stressful thoughts, so we can choose how to engage rather than letting work stress quietly bleed into our relationship. So really, I want to start with defining this, and hopefully using that examples that can give us a little better understanding of what it's like to really be mindful in relationships. And I want to step back a little bit. Like, you may ask, like, why should I even care about mindfulness as an individual? Like, why? So this idea of mindfulness originated from Eastern philosophy. Culture has deep cultural roots in it, but recent decades of scientific research has continuing to show this individual benefit associated with mindfulness. That being said, like physical benefits, mindfulness has been shown to reduce stress. First of all, the stress reduction effect. Also lower your blood temperature. It also helps enhance relaxation and enhance your sleep quality. And mental health-wise, mindfulness has been linked to this improved focus and concentration, allows you to better focus and show up in the present moment. Also helps you reduce anxiety and depression. So reduce the negative affect. And also it boosts your emotional regulation by allowing you to better noticing emotions, differentiating different emotions, and regulate those emotions from there. And of course, that will give you more resilience during difficult times. So this is why should we as individuals care about mindfulness? And why should couples care about mindfulness? Like, why should I think this is relevant for my relationship? So we give a little bit example earlier. I want to pull up this model that I really like. I'm a huge fan of this scholar's work. This is a theoretical model. It might look a little overwhelming, but I want to walk through this kind of with all of you. But before that, I want to quickly mention, like, my before I get into this field of mindfulness in relationship, I was really more so like a stress researcher. Like, I study and try to understand how stress impact relationship, external stress, financial strain. We talk about work stress and even racial discrimination, like this kind of external stress, how it undermines our relationship functioning, and relationship deteriorate under conditions of stress. But relationships are also very important, maybe the very key source of social support during those difficult moments in our life. We want to turn to our partner, yet this relationship becomes vulnerable under stress. So I was like, keep thinking to myself, like, what exactly can we do to help strengthen, like, catch the couples and help strengthen their relationship when they need the most? So that's how I actually got into this exciting literature of mindfulness and relationships. So we can see in this model, mindfulness is conceptualized. So there are two people, like two partner A and partner B. And also there's basic mechanisms. So these are the basic mechanism of mindfulness. And also through this basic mechanism of mindfulness then boosts relationship processes and eventually boosts your relationship outcome. It might sound a little bit abstract. Let's break it down a little bit. So we can see when partner has higher levels of mindfulness through the basic mechanism, starting with awareness of this otherwise implicit processes, so awareness of this automatic reactions that's going on. Mindfulness helps people notice like things like irritation, resentment, urges to retaliate, emotional withdrawal before they turn into behavior. So we notice those automatic reaction that's going on there before we let them actually happen. So it kind of put a pause between impulse and action. So create this acting space for you to choose to react intentionally. And also through emotional regulation, mindfulness boosts relationship processes. So mindfulness doesn't remove emotions, it changes how we relate to them. You will still probably feel anger or hurt, but you're less likely to escalate or suppress. You're less reactive. So you can feel angry without really becoming like let the anger get out of control and escalate within the relationship. You can name that I'm feeling angry in the moment. I'm feeling this in my body, and that helps you regulate that emotion. And this matters for relationship processes such as like we talk about this stress thing. Like if we're better able to regulate our stress reactions, that helps during those difficult moments. And the third, executive control, we're looking at like the third mechanism is executive control. So this is essentially self-regulation. So mindfulness strengthens this self-regulation. So help us have the ability to override some automatically not so nice response we want to have in the relationship. So this matters for forgiveness, for sacrifice, not saying the things you will regret later during the moments. It's kind of like I notice this urge to win this argument and I don't act on it. So enhance self-regulation. And also through self-other connectedness. So this idea of mindfulness is linked to empathy, perspective taking, closeness. It's not just self-control, it's feeling more connected to your partner as a person. And we can see, so these are the basic mechanism. We just talk about them, and through them, it would shape how we respond to our partner, how we feel in a relationship, and how we think about our partner. So for example, pro-relationship motivation, because you've noticed the self-interest impulses to say things to hurt your partner or whatever, and you have the capacity to choose long-term relationship goals instead in that moment. I'm gonna not say those things, but instead I'm gonna choose to do something that's gonna be beneficial long-term for my relationship. So mindfulness supports the transformation of motivation, choosing us over me. And also mindfulness helps by reducing overall stress reactivity. We'll talk a little bit about this, helping partner notice stress before it contaminates your interactions, improving your communication about stress. I realize I'm snapping because of work stress, not because of my partner. And also it through relationship cognition. So essentially how we think about our partner. Mindfulness is linked to partner acceptance, like not constantly trying to fix each other, but just allowing each other to be the way they truly are. And also accepting fluctuations in relationship satisfaction. This may be a little abstract. So essentially, on a day-to-day basis, we might not be the exact level of happiness in our relationship. On some days we may feel happier in our relationship. On other days when things are hard, we may feel less happy, not as happy in the relationship. And through changing this relationship cognition, like it's allowing us to accepting that things change, like relationship might look different on the day-to-day level. It's okay if it fluctuates. Accepting that instead of immediately turning that into action. Oh my God, my relationship's falling apart. What can I do? So really like sitting there and watching it flow. And also mindfulness can promote attachment security. So being more securely attached to your partner, like knowing that they will be there for you and knowing that you can count on them when things get difficult. All right, so through all of this relationship processes, mindfulness eventually helps us feel better in our relationship, report higher relationship satisfaction. All right. And yeah, I think that was more like a theory model. And also this area is relatively newer, like mindfulness in couple relationship. It's definitely newer than mindfulness research in general as a field. But overall, in existing research has been painted a very clear picture that this is linked to better conflict resolution, better sexual functioning, higher sense of connectedness, increased forgiveness and gratitude, and also is linked to partners' report of relationship quality. Meaning, if I am able to be more mindful in my relationship, not only does it boost my own relationship happiness, it also boosts my partner's relationship happiness, given how relationship is such a dynamic process. So that's very powerful than just boost my own happiness. Also, as we talk about this, mindfulness buffers negative effects of stress. So when I'm stressed, if I'm more mindful, first of all, I may just perceive less stress. I may just not be as reactive to stress. Also, I'm better able to separate what is truly my response to that stressor versus what's my response to my partner. So being able to separate that will also help protect your relationship. So this is what research says about relationship benefit of mindfulness. So it is very exciting. It is a powerful tool. And I want to talk, like the switch gear a little bit. We'll talk about theory. We talk about research. I want to also talk a little bit about relationship-focused mindfulness activities. So these are some simple activities you can do with your partner to increase your mindfulness level together. And there are some great resources on Dr. Shalom Leavitt, she's an expert in this area, and she does a lot of exciting work on sexual mindfulness as well. So I was able to find some very cool resources on her website. Essentially, I want to introduce three relationship-focused mindfulness activities that I think are really easy to start implementing in your day-to-day life. The first one is called Heads Together. So essentially, for all of these activities, you do start with gentle breathing, so slowing down and breathing and paying attention, paying that non-reactive, accepting attention to your breath. And then from there, once you feel grounded, you will gently resting your foreheads on your partner's forehead. So kind of like when let your forehead touching each other, and your eyesight may get a little blurry. If that's the case, you can close your eyes, and you may also choose to touch like nose to nose to one another if that feels more relaxing. And you will just paying attention to the sensations that's happening while resting your forehead on your partner's forehead. And just feel that relaxation, feel that connection. And if you wish, you don't have to, but you can also use a very soft voice to share ideas, thoughts, and emotions. I think this can be a really simple activity to implement, like at the end of the day after work, you come home and you just like sit on the couch for a few minutes with your partner and like do the heads together activity to kind of like just slowly process or just share some things that happened during the day and really feel what it's like for you to be present with one another and just listen to each other without distraction. So that's heads together. Another powerful one is mindful eye gazing. So similarly, you start with sitting across from one another, and you do some grounding, breathing, breath in, breath out very slowly, and grounded in how you're sitting across to one another, and then start making and maintaining eye contact with each other. So it's not like you're staring at each other, but it's more so like an accepting, gentle way of gazing at each other's eyes, to really recognize the deep down goodness in each other's eyes through this process, and paying attention again to your body sensations and also to your partner. And oftentimes, the qualities you start to notice in your partner, these may be some things you're seeing in yourself. Your partner's eyes can be a direct reflection of yourself if you're willing to just pay attention and see it. And my experience trying this in clinical work with my couples is, initially this may feel a little bit uncomfortable for some people. I have couples randomly start laughing, giggling because of the discomfort, or I have couples that feel extremely vulnerable when they're doing eye gazing with their partner and they started crying. And all are okay. And I want to emphasize that you have the choice to show up however you want in these activities, and just to acknowledge like this is what's happening, and just gently let that go. And third activity I want to introduce, it's called mindful couple walking. So as its name suggests, it's about taking a walk together, but before you take that walk, you can decide on a topic the two of you want to talk about and discuss together, and you start. Like similarly at the more still one that has together and eye gazing, you start with like grounding yourself through breathing. But when you started with the couple walking, you start with silent walking. So you don't have to hold hands. You can just like walk side to side with one another, and then just slowly paying attention to sensations, to the surroundings. Feel the breeze on your face, feel the sun, pay attention to what you can hear. Like once you feel grounded in that silent walking, then you can start gently talking about the topics that you've both decided to talk about. So these are three relationship-focused mindfulness activities that you can do. But also, like, it doesn't have to be with your partner. There, as Dr. Jeff kind of mentioned in the beginning, there are also a lot of individual-focused mindfulness activities like loving kindness meditation, 3-minute breathing space. There's also mindful walking, mindful eating, all sorts of different, like also their length can vary, so you can choose however long that works for you. Like if you just started trying this, you may want to start with something that's a little bit simpler and shorter on your own time. And if you like search things in YouTube or just broadly on the internet, like there are tons of free resources that's there, like audio or video resources that can help you get into trying it out. All right. And next, I want to talk a little bit about incorporating mindfulness in your relationship. So we talk about some activities we can do, but really it doesn't have to be those activities. Like we said, it's a way of being rather than a way of doing. So you really can do a lot of things in your own daily routine to engage in that mindfulness within yourself. We talk about if one partner has high mindfulness, that can also boost your partner's relationship happiness. So if you want to engage in more individual focused mindfulness activity, and that's totally okay. Or if you want to engage in just slowing down when you are commuting to work, and like in your daily routine, find the time here and there to just slow down. And that works perfectly fine in terms of boosting your partner's relationship experience as well. And also, the second way you can incorporate that is as a shared activity with your partner, like these different relationship focused mindfulness activities we talk about, that you can incorporating that doing together with your partner, and use that as a moment of connection and intimacy, and also use that as a moment to boost both of your mindfulness level. And third is during your everyday interactions with your partner. You don't have to be doing these activities with your partner. It's when you are engaging with your partner, when you're talking with your partner, when you're thinking about your relationship. It's like this simple. It can be really simple. It's like changing, pause and be like, am I really present? Am I really here? And if not, can I readjust and like, can I show up and can I really be here in this very moment? So these are like really different ways to incorporating mindfulness so it can benefit your relationship. And also, I want to highlight that this approach, like mindfulness, is great. It's really beneficial. But it may not be the one size fits all approach. I really don't think for relationship there's a one size fits all approach. People may react differently to the same activity, to the same intervention. So I want to acknowledge that sometimes in some relationship, being mindful in that relationship can be difficult. So I think of some potential scenarios I want to walk us through. First, it can be triggering for some people, like quietly sit there and focusing on sensations and focusing on thoughts and feelings and letting them go can be triggering for some people, especially if they have trauma background, if they really struggle with PTSD. So in that case, I think it's important to emphasize choice. So it doesn't have to be a forced thing. If those discomfort start to show up, and you can gently acknowledging that, and you don't have to continue forcing yourself to do it, and you can just walk away and re-engage next time. Also, in some relationship, especially I think if there's violence in the relationship, like I don't think this would be a good thing to engage for sure, and I think it definitely complicates the situation. Also, if for I think for some young couples especially, when both are working and very busy and stressful, they may feel like I just can't find that mindset. I just can't find that time and that energy to really engage in this. It feels like an extra thing to add on to my already very long to-do list. So I want to emphasize, like in this case, you maybe it's not the best idea to try those more still focus, like the breathing ones, the loving kindness ones, those ones that require you to like sit down and like in a more still state. You can do something that's more movement based. So you can engage in mindfulness while you're driving to work. You can engage in mindfulness while you're just walking from the parking lot to your workplace. You can engage with mindfulness while you're cooking, like really paying attention to how you're cutting things, how it feels, how it smells in the kitchen, and how the texture feels. So really, like you can incorporating that through more movement-based activities. And also, I want to highlight maybe for some individuals, I think especially I'm seeing this more in couples where one person may struggle with more severe chronic illness and the other partner kind of assume this role of being the caregiver. If that's the case, when we are trying to direct their attention to focus on the sensations, feelings, and needs that are going on within themselves, they may feel the sense of conflict. They feel conflicted and reluctant to engage in that. And that's okay too. So I want to acknowledge that the discomfort with focusing on oneself sometimes may get in the way and makes being mindful in relationship difficult sometimes. So yeah, these are kind of the research and like some powerful daily tools that you can start using and trying. I hope this can be helpful. But yeah, again, I acknowledge that this is not a one size fits all approach. As a researcher and clinician, I keep seeing the power of mindfulness in helping people being in love more fully. Yeah, thank you. I think that's it for the little presentation I prepared.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That was great, and a great tour through mindfulness and how we can do some things to infuse our relationship with more mindfulness. And really, that's just being more fully present. I really liked how you said it's mindfulness is a way of being rather than doing. So it's really it's using your senses and being fully present. And I think, gosh, the greatest gift you can give someone you love is to be fully present and give them your full presence and authentic self in that moment and be attentive to them. I can't think of any greater gift that you can give the person that you love than really being fully present with them, seeing them, hearing them, acknowledging them. I think it's just so incredibly important. And I think you brought that across very well. I also think that so when I work with my couples, oftentimes, we're trying to get them to be more present, but right when they're having conflict, they're creating their own defense a lot of times, and they're up in their heads instead of listening and being fully present and anchoring to what their partner's saying. So
Mhm.
we try to teach people to attune and actively listen. And part of that is we say, okay, when your partner is finished telling you, and the partner needs to be succinct about it. They can't go on and on. But when your partner is finished telling you what they're feeling and what they're experiencing, we really like for people to paraphrase and
Mm,
back to that partner, this is what I heard, right? It
mhm.
feels awkward in the beginning, but it's an amazing technique that acknowledges the person who's speaking, that I care about what you said, that I really want to get it. And then it makes sure that I really got it. Is this the message you were sending? So I think that restating and paraphrasing can be really helpful to get them out of their mind with defensiveness and thinking, what are they saying? I don't do that, into what does my partner, this person I love, really want me to understand, right? So it pulls them present and forward and anchors them to what their partner's saying, because they're going to have to restate it in a minute.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought it up. I was thinking exactly the same thing. I think in working with couple in couple therapy, sometimes when we are not directly teaching mindfulness focus, and when I'm not like just tell them to do a mindful eye gazing, when I'm just engaging in a speaker listener technique with the couple, it is a great way to help them cultivate that present moment awareness. And I think also like if that comes from a therapist at the beginning, it might be easier to like get into that cycle of really start trying this. Like it feels like, yeah, as you mentioned, it may feel a little bit weird in the beginning. I use sometimes when I'm seeing couples in like family therapy room, I'll just randomly grab a toy, and like it can be like a toy dinosaur, and I give it to that person who is supposed to be the speaker in the moment. So it's clearly designated as speaker, and like the other person's job is like simply to listen. And if they can't rephrase it back, they feel embarrassed in front of the therapist, so they do it they try to work very hard on it, and then they realize, oh, it was so simple, but I feel so much more connected with my partner when I'm just trying to understand rather than trying to fix the narrative they're trying to say,
Mhm.
get things straight. No, 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 that's not what happened. Like really trying to understand where are they coming from on this. It's just so powerful. I think if you start with something more concrete for you to designate who is the speaker, and like over time it will become much more natural, and you can just remove that whatever thing you're trying to use with it and just let it like flow more naturally. I totally agree with you on that.
Yes, I love that. And what we've done even in the past is a little piece of tile, not a heavy piece of tile, or a piece of wood flooring. And we say, this is the person who has the floor. They're holding the
Yeah.
floor. That can work really well to do that too. But I think what you said is it's so true. And so, and again, in the beginning, and even listeners, you might think, well, that feels so awkward to restate but what I tell people is what you're doing working? When you're talking to each other, and the way you're conversing, and when you especially when you're in conflict, is it working? You're here because it's not working, or you
Mhm.
realize it's not working, and we're giving you tools that have been researched and shown to work, period. So this restating, it works. And the reason it works is, even though, I mean, it feels a little awkward in the beginning, you're saying, I understood, you use your own words. I heard you say, I understood you say that you feel hurt when this happened and you need this from me. So I think it feels a little awkward in the beginning, but the more you do it, the more comfortable it becomes. And science says it works. And what it does is those two things that are so crucial. It acknowledges that it's saying, I care about what you say. I'm listening intently, and I'm restating it to make sure I got it right. To make sure I got it right, and to show that it really matters what you say to me. So I think it's a really powerful tool, and it's mindfulness in communication. But mindfulness is anywhere and everywhere. It can be used at any time by ourselves, with others. It's not some mystic weird thing. It's being fully present, using your smell, using your taste, using your ears, using your eyes to be fully present. Like at this moment, the chair feels hard against your back. The room is cool. Being fully present in this moment. So I think it's so important. Well, we had two good questions come in. The first one is, when conflict comes up, I know I'm not very present. I either shut down or get reactive. This is what we were just talking about with communication and conflict. What are some mindful ways to stay emotionally engaged without becoming overwhelmed?
That is a great, very practical question. I think it definitely first start with knowing that you're getting overwhelmed. I think like it seems like overall, when we're not during those moments, we have a good awareness of, okay, that's what I tend to do during conflict. But when those moments come up, um, can you acknowledge what's going on in your body? I think it can be helpful to start with gently like naming the feelings. Like I ask my couples, like, when this get heated up, what are the feelings that you're feeling? Like which part feels tense? Like how does it feel in your chest? How does it feel in your belly? And once they start getting better at recognizing how it feels in their body during those moments, it becomes this automatic connection for them. That okay, when I'm sensing this in these things, oh, maybe it's a moment for me to slow down. That I am very overwhelmed right now. Maybe it's not the best moment to respond, and to pause from there. And what happened after that, I think for some people, if you tend to want to withdraw emotionally, and like make sure that the pause is a pause, meaning you will come back to this. You will talk to your partner and gently naming, I am feeling, I am sensing this tension in my body. I am feeling that I'm getting overwhelmed in the moment. Can we take a pause here, and can we make sure we come back to this at this time? And you can take a few minutes to do whatever self-soothing that may feel right for you. Like sometimes my couples to gently like hug themselves, and like sometimes in the moment it may feel like comforting to touch each other's hand. I let them do that, and you don't need to talk, and you just like do whatever you would normally help you to feel soothed and grounded. And then you come back to talk about it again. And it's like ongoing thing. And when if you get to a point when you feel that again, and then like gently call it and then pause and then re-engage. So also I think it's important to acknowledge some days our emotional or physical energy is just not as great for more difficult, challenging conversations. And I think acknowledging that and like finding more intentionally engaged in those more emotional loaded conversations can also be very helpful in this case.
Yes. So yes, acknowledging what are you feeling and where are you feeling it. So important. And yes, it may require a timeout or pause. That may be a couple minutes. It may be a little more, but time to acknowledge and self-soothe through, like you said, and it could be breathing. It could be different things that you do to self-soothe, and then come back to and say, think about why. And then when you come back, you can speak to it a little bit potentially. Maybe you can, maybe you can't right then. But two, there's a lot to learn from all that. What triggered you? What did you feel? But again, even when you're triggered by yourself, what are you feeling and where do you feel it in your body? can you deep breathe and release some of that tension
Mhm.
and let go of that? And then later, maybe, why? Why were you triggered? What brought this up for you? All those things are great teaching lessons. So I think that's really valuable. Another question that came forth was, my partner and I have very different communication styles. Can mindfulness help us bridge that gap, or do we need completely different tools?
That's a great question. And as we said, it's a way of being rather than a way of doing. So that awareness is most definitely going to help you. So like being aware of how different that communication style is. Like by saying communication style, I think sometimes people are also thinking about coping style. Like when difficult things happen, like how do I want to talk about them? Do I want to talk about it with my partner in the moment, or do I prefer to like sit with it a little bit, let it go, and then talk to my partner? So like being aware of how you respond to those things, and also being aware to how your partner respond to those things, and um, accepting the fact that you may need to take things at different paces and your partner may not be ready in the moment to talk about it. In fact, we actually have some under review research, hopefully that get published very soon, that actually look at how co-rumination and mindfulness interact together. So co-rumination is kind of like, you can think about it as more interpersonal emotional regulation strategy, that partners just want to keep processing difficult things and keep talking about how negative it makes me feel, the consequences, and why I don't understand this part. So get stuck in that negativity together. So what we find is co-rumination tends to help for individuals who have lower mindfulness. So for those who have lower mindfulness, talking and coping together may actually help them feel better about the relationship. But however, for those who have higher mindfulness, maybe they are just better used to noticing things within themselves and letting it go. If their partner keeps dragging them into processing over and over and over again, that actually lower their relationship quality and sexual satisfaction. So I just want to like name that people have different regulatory preference, and it's important to know what you prefer and what really helps you, and accepting the way it works for your partner. Well, if it doesn't work, then that's a different story. We need to come back and talk about and find tools. But if your partner prefer to sit with this a little bit and come back to talk about it, you prefer to talk about it immediately, can we acknowledging both things are the adaptive ways that we have learned over time, and in this relationship can we meet in the middle ground? Can you have maybe like, can you tell me how long you would need to sit on that alone, and so I don't have to constantly sitting on that anxiety that we haven't talked about it, if that makes sense.
I think communication is one of the most challenging things for couples, and I know in most every couple that I've ever met with, of all, the over 100 couples that I've met with over time, communications always seems to be an issue. So we do use a lot of communication tools, and there's a lot of great things that you can do. We talked about restating. We also, in addition, so being present and mindful while you're working on restating, it's a way of being while you're doing some of these things that help. We teach people how to use I language. I feel, and what you really feel. What is the feeling versus, but you can't say, as I've said before, you can't say, I feel you're mean. That's not a feeling. What do you really feel? And what do you need? So stating what you feel and what you need. It takes away the blame. You did this, you did that, you. Change it to I'm experiencing this, I'm feeling this is what it's like for me. So there's lots of good tools out there. They're really easy to find, and working with a therapist who can guide you through practicing and working all that can be incredibly valuable. We've had some great sessions with people working on communication. And I love too how you talked about the eye gazing. We do it too, and it can be really awkward in the beginning, but when they get used to it, it can be very deeply moving. And dopamine, research has shown, will elevate and raise and make you more bonded from eye gazing, just from looking in each other's eyes. You talked a little bit about hugging, and I love that too. Hugging for 20 seconds, that's not a really long time, increases dopamine. And if you don't have someone to hug, you can hug yourself. That's okay too. So, but I think in this world right now, that connectivity, especially post-COVID, we've lost that human touch and that human connectivity. So that eye gazing, talking to someone one-on-one, face-to-face versus on Zoom or on the phone, interacting directly with them, maybe holding hands as you're speaking, or walking side by side, or laying together where you can feel their heartbeat near you. All of those things, cuddling and hugging, we need more of that in our world. More love, more connection. So this has been great. I'm going to do our centering exercise, and we're gonna because it's been such a great episode, and I'll come back to you in just a few minutes. So as we do at this point, what we're going to do is, as we come to the close of this episode, let's just take a moment to pause and settle. In all episodes in this episode about mindfulness, if you can, you could place one hand on your chest or somewhere that feels grounding to you. Get comfortable with your feet flat on the floor. Place one hand on your chest or wherever it feels grounded. Take in a slow breath in your nose and a long, easy breath out your mouth. You can breathe in and out your nose or mouth as well, but if you're able and your nose is clear this time of year, which can be challenging, breathe in your nose and exhale gently out your mouth. Bring to mind someone you care about deeply. As you keep breathing, perhaps that's a partner or even yourself. Self-love is important and essential. Bring to mind yourself or that person that you love. Notice what happens in your body as you hold them in your awareness, without trying to fix, without judging or changing anything. Now gently reflect on this question. What might shift in my relationship if I showed up just a little more present? What might shift in my relationship if I were more present? With your next breath, imagine offering that presence, listening fully, responding intentionally, and allowing moments of connection to unfold without rushing. Take one final breath in and out. As you return to your life and your day, carry this intention with you as you go. Presence is not another thing to do. It's how we choose to be, with ourselves and with one another. It's a way of being, not a way of doing. And we all need to do a little more being rather than hustling, bustling, and doing. We so appreciate you. And Vic, can you tell us a little bit about what is up next week? I can't wait for next week's episode, and I know what it's about. Tell them what it's about.
In this episode, Dr. Jeff is joined by licensed marriage and family therapist and relationship expert Dr. Rose Hannah. They have an honest and eye-opening conversation about the impact of our digital world on emotional connection, sexual intimacy, and day-to-day relationship health. Dr. Hannah will explore why phones and devices have become such powerful competitors for our attention. Also, how constant distraction erodes presence, empathy, desire, and the sense of being truly seen by our partners. Join us on February 3rd at 7 p.m. Central Time to learn more.
Vic, I love what you do with those teasers. That was so good. And I'm so excited about put down your phone and pick up your life and your love. That's going to be a great episode. And this one led perfectly into that, learning to be more mindful. Ariel, I can't thank you enough for sharing all those insights and expertise with our listeners. It's been just so wonderful. Is there any final thought you would like to give listeners before we close out?
No, I think just keep it simple. Like, it's a simple thing to engage with. Don't overestimate how difficult it is. It is as simple but as powerful. But the pleasure is mine. It's such a pleasure for me to talk about this topic I'm really passionate about, and I hope that's beneficial for everyone as well.
Yeah. So sometimes people think mindfulness, you're up in your head. But what we're saying is get out of your head and into the moment, get into the now, get into what's happening at this very moment and what that feels like in your body and your relationship, and be fully present in your one miraculous life. And that's my hope and prayer for all of you. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Who's Dr. Jeff talking?